Hi, I'm Bart Hansen. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the instructions in the video description.
It's 2-5 the MGM, as always.
Yep.
We're about 1,500 effective, plus or minus. So it folds all the way around to me, and I open the button, and this is a slight misclick that I don't think ends up impacting the hand. I must have thought there was a limper or something when there wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I cold open the button to 25 with ace-jack of hearts, like the first caller.
Okay.
The small blind, who's sort of like a fishy dude, calls.
Yep.
And then the big blind, 3-bet to 115, which is a little bit on the small side.
So 25 call, you open on the button, right? Is that right?
Yes, correct.
So obviously you have an easy defend here, right? Like you're got one of the best hands. I mean, you could even make a case. You could even make a case for 4-betting here with the dead money in between. I don't know what the deal.
I think my cutoff there would probably be like ace queen suited and ace king, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think
certainly a case could be made for it.
There's probably partials, right? There's probably some times, right. and you know, usually people don't 3-bet with the right frequencies. They're a little bit on the tighter side. So obviously, I don't have a problem with calling, which I'm assuming that you do.
I did, and this is I hadn't played with this guy very long, but he seems recreational, but he seems kind of aware. The big blind, who's the villain, you know,
right.
He didn't call small blinds. He seems to understand sizing, etc. Anyway, so we go to the flop, heads up, the small blind folds, of course.
Okay.
No, not of course, but thankfully he does.
Yeah.
And so we get a queen 10-6 flop.
Okay.
With 2 clubs and 1 heart.
Do you remember which the suits were?
I want to say that the queen and the 10 were clubs and the 6 was a heart.
Queen of clubs, 10 of clubs, 6 of hearts. Okay. So you flop a gut shot here.
And I flop the gutter ball, overcard, and a backdoor flush draw.
Right, gut shot over. Yep. Okay.
So the villain bets 80 into about 250.
So he sort of makes that 1/3 sizing, right? Bets 80. Okay.
Right. And so one of the things that I'm working on in my game is because if you look at what the solvers do in these sorts of spots, is that the way that you counter the small bet strategy is have a broader and more polarized raising range.
I don't know if it's more polarized, though. You know, I know you're a top section.
No. More depolarized.
Oh, depolarized. Correct. I thought you said polarized, right?
So you would raise a lot of good top pair hands.
Right.
If you really want to get really street, you'd raise some middle pair hands. Just to sort of,
and also too,
so they can't profitably bet you.
Yes, and you're also incentivized to raise from out of position more than in position, too. Now, I know you're in position this hand, and the reason why that is because if you just call from out of position...
Harder to realize your equity, yeah.
Well, it's easier for your opponent to realize, too, right? Like, if you just call with, a top pair, type of hand.
So I elect to raise this hand. I'm still, working on, what hands I want to use, but... I blocked some of his stronger call downs, particularly aces and ace-queen. I have the nut gut shot and backdoor flush draw, which gives me some sort of playability on some different runouts. So I decided to raise to 300.
I'll run this one by Conlon, too, for the top section podcast, and maybe we'll use it, too, because obviously he sort of, he does a lot of that. He's really good at solver stuff. I mean, on the surface, to me, it looks like this is just a call quite a bit here.
Right.
Maybe, the concept is that you sort of take some of your worst kind of backdoor equity type of hands and do this, but you have showdown value here too. It's always interesting too, what the response is. I mean, I would call.
Right.
I would call here most of the time. I'm not sure. I think I said too in the chat, Jesse, that I'd much rather do this with Jack 9 of hearts. You know what I'm saying?
So you raise with the Jack 9.
Yeah.
Jack 9.
I think that's yeah. Jack 9 of hearts, a full 8-8 combo type of hand with backdoor heart draws and things like that. But okay, so you raised 300.
Yep. And so he tanks for a little while and calls.
Okay, so big blind calls.
So big blind calls.
Because the other thing too is that I assume that you're trying to. I mean, probably ace king's not supposed to call, right? To that, you're not. You're probably supposed to get ace king to fold, right? And I don't know, so, you have one of the jacks in your hand here too, so I don't know if the guy bet calls with jacks here.
So yeah, like the hands that, if this strategy is working correctly, the hands that it puts in difficult spots are those sort of like mid-pair hands, the pairs below the queen, 10x hands, jack.
Yeah, I'll be in the
eight,
car.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So in any event, so that in any way is the theory of it.
Yeah.
So the turn card is an offsuit 7.
Okay.
He checks to me, and I don't at this point. So another thing that the solvers do a lot is when they've raised the depolarized range, they have a pretty high turn check frequency. Because there are a lot of hands that they want to raise, but then if you have like queen jack here, you don't want to just plow away.
Right.
That doesn't really make any sense.
Right.
So I decided to check it back. I haven't picked up any backdoor equity. It doesn't seem to be a good turn card to continue to bet.
I mean, I don't know what kind of folds you're going to get here. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
right.
this is an interesting, like I said, this will be an interesting one that I can ask Conlon about, like, what is supposed to be your bluff continue here on turn frequency?
Right.
I don't, like in a sort of a solver type, optimal sense. From a live play sense, I'm telling you that the guy's going to have probably a queen plus, and I just think that, like, unless he's over folding here, betting is just, you're just over bluffing way too much. So I don't really mind the check. Back.
Yep. So the river card peels off an offsuit queen.
Okay, so queen of clubs, 10 of clubs, 6 of hearts, 7 of diamonds. We'll put it up as queen of diamonds here. And
and he checks again.
And he checks again. Okay.
And so, I mean, going with the theme that I'm playing my range as though I have a lot of queens that would raise check.
Yep.
I think that this is a pretty good river card to barrel. It also, combinatorically, it removes a lot of his queens, which are obviously going to be his strongest call downs.
What's the deal with this guy, like your opponent here?
Again, he seems to be like an aware recreational player. He's like an Asian guy in his late 30s, early 40s.
See, this is where we make this is where we sort of make that, this is sort of where we can out-level ourselves here, I think, a little bit, Jesse. And this is sort of my first response from this hand here, too, is that there's a couple of things going on here, right? Like, if this guy's got kings or he's got aces, right, and you raise the flop and check back the turn and now blast the river, I never really see him folding these hands. The other thing, too, is that if he's a recreational player, he's not really seeing people raise a queen all that much on the flop, although I will acknowledge that he did use small sizing, right? But I don't know if he knows that you might actually raise, like ace queen, here. The other thing too with your hand is that if for some reason he had like some sort of flush draw here, like ace 5 of clubs, like king jack of clubs, something like that, and he's just giving up ace 10 of clubs. Couldn't be ace 10 of clubs. Possibly like the same hand of you, ace jack, whatever. Some sort of ace x of clubs that's not paired. You beat those hands. So that's where you start to look at, like, I don't know if I'm using the term correctly, like sort of linearly bluffing here. Not only do I not think that he's going to fold an overpair, I think that you actually have a sliver of showdown value here. So he checked, and what did you do?
So I agree with a sliver of showdown value. I think it's against the bet call line. It's only just like a couple of flush draws. But in any event, I bet 500.
So 500 into what's the pot size now? So it's like 7, something like that?
About
more than that.
Yeah, about 8.
7. Yeah, okay. So you try to make it
850.
So 500, and again, if you do want to polarize to a queen plus, the theory goes is that you should actually bet more. I don't know. I don't see this ever getting through. Even if he's got jacks here, I think he's going to call you. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny that you should say that because he turbo calls with jack.
And I did not know the result, right? You didn't tell me the result.
Did not even think about it. Like, I announced the bet and his chips are in.
So he snap called you.
He completely snap calls with jack.
But you understand what, like I said, like, even if your line might not be bad on paper when you're trying to learn this stuff, when you're dealing against a recreational player, it's just, I just don't think I'm ever going to get really a hand to fold here, and I have showdown value. Now, if you want to start plowing through the turn, but when you check back the turn on basically an inconsequential card, I mean, I know 8-9 gets there, but you're just always going to get called because there's front door clubs. right? I mean, if there wasn't front door clubs and the board was a little bit like drier, but when there's a flush draw out there, people are just going to call you down when you check back the turn, you know?
That may be true, though. When he turbo called me, I realized that I may have misevaluated this player because I don't think a recreational player turbo calls with jacks. I think he probably does call, or like a decent fraction of the time. But I think that that indicated to me a level of awareness that I probably should have ascribed to him, because a recreational player may very well call, but he doesn't understand the fact that the queen removes some of my queens and stuff like that, and that there's not a huge difference between jacks and aces.
Right.
They're the same.
Right.
From a showdown value.
Thanks for the call. Good hand. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.